You have now entered the Pretty Tough Welcome to the Pretty Tough Room podcast. I'm your host, Tadell P. And today's topic is expectation. Expectation is a strong belief that something will or should happen now or in the future. And it comes from the Latin word expectationem. And that means an awaiting. So, what are you strongly waiting for? What are you strongly wanting to happen, to occur, either now or down the line? What are some things we have expectations of or expectations in? I know we have some expectations in our jobs. We expect that we will be paid on time. We will be paid the correct amount for the hours that we work. We expect that we will be acknowledged at work. So the things that we do, not just the things that are outlined in our job descriptions, but those things that we go above and beyond for. We expect to be promoted at some point. We expect to be successful in our jobs. And we expect for our jobs to always be available, right? We want to make sure that, we have a job all the time, and we expect that we will do that so long as we're doing the duties and the tasks that we were hired to do. Some other expectations are expectations in relationships. We expect not just relationships that are intimate between, husband and wife or dating, but relationships with respect to friendships. And in those relationships, we have expectations that there's loyalty and kindness and love and support. We expect that the people we are in relation with will treat us as we treat them. We expect that they will, be open and honest and trustworthy. We expect that, it's reciprocated. What I give to you, you would give back to me. We also have expectations in people, their behaviors. Women should always act like ladies and men should always be gentlemen. We expect people to be positive in nature, and we do understand that every person is not always positive, but we have an expectation for them to be kind and, sensitive to our feelings or situations. We expect for our children to be respectful of adults. I remember my grandma always telling me to, act my age and not my shoe size when I began to be a pre-adult. She would always tell me to be mindful that it's a transition. I'm no longer to walk around, having tantrums and things like that when I don't get my way. So she would always make sure that I understood to respect my elders. And so those were her expectations of me. We have expectations in our leadership. We expect our leaders to be fair with treating everybody the same. We expect leadership to be knowledgeable of that thing that they are leading us in. We expect our leadership to be integral and trustworthy, to be positive but human, like modeling humanness and positive ways of approaching things. We also expect our leaders to be motivating and empowering. Expectations can be high or low. High expectations can help you achieve that belief or that thing you're expecting. Oftentimes, we do what it takes with high expectations because we understand that just having an expectation is not enough to receive or achieve what we are waiting for. So, for an example, if you're waiting for a promotion at work, most times we are expecting that promotion because we do what we need to do at work. We perform the job duties that they have hired us to do, and we go above and beyond to do other things, and we're creative with our positions as well. So we go up for a promotion with the high expectation of it because we know that we've not only done the basic things that need to be done, but that we bring other things to the table. So we have a high expectation of it. And to ensure that our chances of that expectation is to come to pass, we make sure that we continue to do those things that we are supposed to do, as well as things outside of what we're asked to do, so that we can ensure that the chances of that promotion is greater than if we just did the basic things in that job. Another example of expecting with high expectations would be in relationships. So, not just, with our spouses, but in our friendships. So, we have high expectations of other people when we display uh, loyalty and love and kindness and support to others. When we do those things, there is an expectation of reciprocity, and the that high level of expectation comes from what we give out. When we give out more, we expect others to do the same, and oftentimes we continue to want that reciprocity from other people because of the way that we give it to them ourselves. Low expectations are typically used as a safety net. Some of us keep low expectations to make sure that we're not disappointed. And having low expectation is often utilized to feel happiness and joy, because the lower the standards, the happier a person feels when something above those lower standards occur. So if let's for instance use the workplace again. If I'm at work and I'm doing the basic things, I'm going to continue to do that. I don't really set higher standards for myself, because as long as I'm doing what needs to be done, then I'm safe. However, if I happen to do something that is noticed, that is not outlined in my job description, and then I receive positive feedback or I receive some type of reward for that, it will give me more joy and I'll feel more happy with that, because the expectation wasn't that I would receive anything. I was okay with that level of, basic. And because this thing that was above that basic expectation occurred, it makes me feel more happy and joyful because it wasn't something that I set my sights on. Expectations could have a negative and a positive meaning. It depends on how you use the term. So, if a child who has received everything that they needed and wanted since they were a kid, and now they're a teenager and they want that same, you know, interaction from the people around them, but it's not able to be provided, they're not going to understand that. Their expectation is going to be, well, I've always gotten everything I wanted and everything I needed, so I don't understand why I can't now. So with expectations, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having expectations. It's the motives behind the expectation that's key to what you're believing or waiting for. Wrong motives that's directed toward self-fulfillment can hinder a person's expectations. If you're expecting something that is only beneficial to yourself and no one else gets anything from it, I mean, that feels good for the moment, but how do you be okay with receiving, and nothing that you've received you're able to give back or help someone else to receive as well. One of the dangerous things about expectation that I've experienced is expectation of people. You may expect a person to take you because everyone else does, like to deal with you because everyone else does. You might think that, okay, I'm a good person because I'm able to, communicate with everybody. I get along with everybody. Everybody gets along with me. I have great relationships with everybody. And the other person may have their own expectation of what types of people that they interact with. So when someone does not interact with you the way you expected them to, it's not their fault, because the expectation of being friends was yours and not theirs. Because you expected, because the way that other people treated you all the time was the same way this person was going to treat you. And when that's not the case, you get upset with that other person, but it wasn't on them because it was your expectation that you placed on them that they weren't able to carry out or chose not to carry out. You put a mantle on a person that they were never meant to carry. And that's with respect to relationships, intimate relationships as well, dating relationships. You put an expectation on the person that you're in a relationship with, and if they're not able to follow through with that expectation, then your feelings are hurt and you feel disappointed. And it was because of the expectation you put on them, not understanding that it was your expectation, and not hearing from them, what their expectations are, and then coming together and compromising. But because it was what you perceived it to be, what you thought it should be, when that person's not able to carry it out, then a conflict occurs because you placed the expectation somewhere that it wasn't supposed to be. So, how do we manage our expectations? With personal expectations, we can manage them by being honest about what it is that we are expecting, and making sure that they're not expectations that's not achievable. How can you get from the place you are to the place you want to be? And literally being honest with yourself about if that's really something that you can do. Managing our expectations for situations as far as our jobs, in our relationships with other people, the first thing that I would say would be to communicate. Communicate with those persons that you have expectations of or for, being honest with them and letting them know what the boundaries are. Let them know if you're able to do certain things. See if they're able to do the things that you expect them to do, and be flexible, in those things that you're asking or expecting of them, or and expecting from them. Another point would be to anticipate the problems. There's going to be problems. Everything that we plan to do in life doesn't go smoothly. We got to make sure that we set the tone, or at least leave room for situations to come up that's not according to plan, and being okay with if it steers in a different direction, and being mindful, catching on in the moment, and then starting from that point and working towards your expectations, but being okay that, what, this didn't work out quite exactly the way that I wanted it to, so let me go back and find out what happened, and then what can I do to keep pressing forward. And last, I think with respect to expectations and managing them, we just gotta know and understand the role of the expectations in our everyday interactions, reminding ourselves that there's expectations and there's goals, and they're two different things. We can expect something to happen, and expectations most times are things that we can't see, but goals are things that we plan, and we write, and we take the time to go step by step to attain it. With expectations, it's something that we're believing for. And so we may be able to see it with our minds, but it's not something we can actually see with our eyes. And in my opinion, is it's okay to have expectations as long as they're healthy, as long as they're positive, and as long as they're not going to set you back. Make sure that they're not expectations that's outlandish and that'll keep you stuck because you haven't quite thought out what those expectations and the end results is going to be. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me in the Pretty Tough Room. Don't forget to like, click, tag, and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram page at the Pretty Tough Room. And remember, tough times never last, but tough people do.